Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Harry is related to Naruto. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Darkhybrid and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. He really should have expected this to happen. That they'd all turn on him the second the war was over. Ever since he had entered this damned world, they had loved him one second, only to declare he was evil and dark the next. So the fact that they were suddenly calling him the next Dark Lord, after he just saved their sorry asses, really shouldn't shock him as much as it did. Glancing at the people surrounding him, he concluded that it wasn't the situation that surprised him. It was who started it that did. The faces of his best friends stared at him, blank and without an ounce of regret or guilt. As if they hadn't just spouted a bunch of bullshit about him being an evil Dark Lord that studied the dark arts religiously. Well, he did study the dark arts, but that was because he had wanted to know what he was going up against and how to defend himself. Besides, magic to him was just that. Magic. There was no good and evil. No light or dark. Only shades of gray. But no one understood that. Well, one person did, but he was dead, so he didn't count. Harry's features were expressionless as Oris dragged him to the chamber the veil was in, Fudge following with an entirely too smug smirk. The young wizard was unimpressed. He knew that Fudge was going to try and get into his vaults, the greedy bastard, but he'd be disappointed. Harry had always suspected that something like this would happen. He wasn't as dumb and oblivious as he seemed. After years of being beaten and locked up for getting better grades than Dudley, he had learned early on to hide his intelligence. He had put on a mask to survive, a mask that had followed him to the wizarding world. Anyway, he had written a will, giving everything to his godson, Theodore Lupin, and Andromeda Tonks, the woman he saw as a grandmother despite the short time that he knew her. Snapping out of his thoughts when he was roughly jerked to a halt, Harry shot the two Aurors holding him a mildly irritated glare, noticing that they had reached the veil. Fudge's smirk widened, a triumphant gleam in his eyes. Any last words, Potter? Harry just gave him a bored look. Truth was, he wasn't scared of death. He welcomed it like an old friend, actually. A bit unnerved by the Raven's silence and impassive expression, Fudge nodded to the two Aurors, who promptly threw the 18-year-old at the veil. A smile spread across Harry's lips as he felt the veil embrace him and the whispers, now louder than ever, wash over him. Blackness crept into his Vyson, and soon he knew no more. Master. Harry twitched but didn't open his eyes as consciousness returned to him. Master, wake up. Rolling over, Harry ignored the voice. An annoyed huff. Master, wake up. Damn brat. The last part was muttered. Harry opened an eye with an irritated look. Shouldn't I be dead? He asked, annoyance clear in his tone. Couldn't he have peace for once? Couldn't he just be with his parents? With Sirius and Remus? Death rolled its eyes, its appearance neither male nor female. Did you forget, Master? You can't die, as you are the Master of Death. Harry sighed. Why did this shit always happen to him? I honestly thought that whole meeting was dream. Death pinched the bridge of its nose, a why-me look on its face. No, Master, it was not a dream. Can you please call me Harry? I'm not into that whole Master thing. Anyway, where am I? Harry asked, taking a look around. He appeared to be in a forest, given the trees and nature surrounding them. The trees were the largest he had ever seen, and the vibe the area gave off was similar to the Forbidden Forest. We are currently in the Forest of Death, in Konohagakure. Harry blinked at it. Where? He asked, nose scrunched up in confusion. Death sighed. When you were tossed into the veil, I transported you to a different dimension. This is the Land of Fire, also known as Hai no Kuni, one of the countries of this world. Harry stared at him with wide eyes. Hai no Kuni is Japanese. Death nodded. It is. This is a world of ninja and Japanese is the language of this world. You should fit in easily enough. A grin slowly spread across Harry's face. Not many knew, but Harry was fluent in Japanese and knew many different types of martial arts. When he had been 7, he came across a dojo when running from his cousin and had hidden inside the building. The owner, Tsukishima, had found him curled in a corner as he was getting ready to leave. After coaxing the boy out of the corner, he proceeded to ask the 7-year-old why he had been hiding with such fear-filled eyes. Seeing the sincere concern in the man's eyes, young Harry had decided to trust an adult for once and spilled everything. Tsukishima had taken Harry under his wing, he and his wife practically unofficially adopting him as the years passed. He and his wife, his Anna, taught Harry Japanese and its culture, which Harry quickly grew to love. Harry also became a student at the dojo, where he proved to be a natural at martial arts, Tsukishima often telling him that he was one of his best students. When he had turned 16, Tsukishima and his Anna had gifted him with a beautifully crafted katana and a set of kunai and shuriken. He also had a pair of Tessen and Seis, which he had bought in Japan during a brief visit. He had a large fondness for bladed weapons. Harry had actually used a kunai to kill Voldemort, despite what many people thought. When his and Voldemort's spells had clashed, Expelliarmus versus Avada Kedavra, he had used his free hand to throw a kunai hidden in his sleeve, his movements lightning fast. The kunai had pierced the Dark Lord's heart, ending his life in mere seconds. The weapons were in his trunk, which was, thankfully, still in his pocket. Running a hand through his hair, Harry looked up at Death. "Anything else I should be aware of?" he asked, deciding to accept his new fate instead or protesting. What else was he gonna do anyway? May as well enjoy a life of freedom for once. The ninja here use chakra, which is similar to magic, in a way. There are also individuals known as Jinchuriki. They are ninja with tailed demons sealed into them. Death told him. Harry absently rubbed his scar. While Tom hadn't been a demon, he was still a psychopath bent on possessing and killing him, so he could sympathize with these Jinchuriki. After Tom's death, Harry quickly realized he could use his magic with much more ease and concluded that a lot of his magic had been fighting off the soul shard in his scar. "Sounds interesting," the Raven murmured, standing. He gave Death a smile. "Thank you?" Death blinked, confusion flashing through its eyes. "What?" "You gave me a second chance. A chance to live instead of survive. So, thank you?" Death nodded, understanding flashing through its eyes. "Ah, well, you amuse me. And you got rid of Riddle for me, so I figured it was the least I could do." Harry laughed and gave Death a quick hug, once again stunning the entity. "So, which way to civilization?" "The village is that way." Death gestured north. Harry nodded and made to head that way, but Death stopped him by grabbing his wrist. A hiss escaped him when pain suddenly washed through his wrist for a brief moment. When Death released his wrist, Harry looked at it, eyes widening a bit at the mark of the Hallows now tattooed on it. He arched an eyebrow at Death. "Just call me, and I will come. The same applies to the Hallows," it explained. "Now, I shall be going. Do enjoy your new life, Master." Harry nodded in understanding, watching as Death faded until it was gone. With a soft smile, he turned and started north, silently wondering what Konoha was like. The first thing Harry did upon reaching Konoha was to disillusion himself and find a library, making sure to avoid the ninja walking around, as quite a few seemed to sense his presence. He guessed that their chakra helped them to feel his presence, or warned them, like an instinct. Once a library was found, he spent the next few hours reading up on history, even sneaking into the forbidden section. He suspected that the reason the seals keeping unwanted visitors out didn't affect him due to his status as Master of Death. A frown twisted his lips when he read about the Third Shinobi War, specifically the part where the Kyubi no Kitsune, the nine-tailed demon. Harry made sure to read up on the demons of this world, in case he ended up face to face with one, was sealed into a newborn child by the Yondaime. While he understood that it was probably the only way to defeat Kyubi, he didn't like the fact that the demon had been sealed into an orphan baby. He had no doubt that the civilians, not understanding shinobi ways and chakra, thought that the child was the demon and not the container. When Harry had discovered he had a piece of Tom's soul inside his head, he had begun to fear and distrust himself, until he realized that he was not Tom and never would be. Tom would never control him, because Harry refused to allow that to happen. He was stronger than that. Than Tom. It was actually thanks to Luna that he had reached that conclusion. She had told him, in her own cryptic way, that he was not Tom, but a container that unfortunately housed a part of his soul. Closing the book he currently held and returning it to its correct place, Harry left the library as quietly as he had come, planning on heading back to the Forest of Death to camp for the night when he saw how late it had gotten. He was passing by an alleyway when he heard the soft sniffles and cries of a child. Pausing, Harry turned and glanced around the alley, spotting a child of 7 cloaked by shadows and curled into a ball as he cried into his arms. Undoing the disillusion charm, Harry approached the child and knelt down before him, taking note of the way the kid stiffened the moment he noticed he wasn't alone. Smiling gently and reassuringly, he met the kid's eyes, which were a bright blue filled with fear and wariness. Harry barely held in a growl of rage when he saw the bruises the kid was sporting, though they seemed to be fading a lot faster than was normal for a human. Then again, Harry could feel the large chakra surrounding the kid. "Hello," Harry spoke, voice gentle and warm. "I'm Harry. Who are you?" The kid blinked at him, surprise flashing through his eyes. "You don't know who I am?" he asked hesitantly. Harry shook his head. "Nope. So, what's your name?" "Uzumaki, Naruto." "Naruto, Nice to meet ya, Naruto-chan. Harry grinned at him. Naruto flushed in anger. I'm a boy, Darkhybrid. What's your point, Naruto-chan? Don't call me Chan. Ah, but you're so cute. Naruto's flush darkened, his eyes narrowing. Are you some type of pervert? Harry blinked in disbelief before letting out a snort. That's a first. I've been called many things, but never a pervert. Naruto paused at that. You've been called names, Hari-san? Harry shrugged. Yeah. Nothing pleasant, mind you, but I've gotten over it. For the most part. Harry knew he'd never be able to hold back a flinch if someone called him a freak, too emotionally and mentally scarred from the Dursleys. Did they call you a monster? Or demon? Naruto asked hesitantly. Sometimes. Why? Do people call you that, Naruto-chan? Harry asked, suddenly having an idea of who this kid might be. Naruto reluctantly nodded his head, sadness and despair in his eyes, which were filling with tears. Harry couldn't hold back from pulling the kid into his arms and hugging him tightly, resting his chin atop Naruto's head. Don't listen to them, Naruto-chan. I've seen monsters and demons, and you look and act nothing like them. Truthfully, you're as adorable as Teddy, my godson, is. Harry murmured softly to the crying boy in his arms, rubbing his hands soothingly up and down Naruto's back. Naruto curled into the strange man hugging him, feeling warm suddenly, when only seconds ago he had felt cold and numb. He didn't understand. Gigi had hugged him many times, but he had never felt this warm before. Nor this safe and protected. Curling into Hari, he decided he liked the man's hugs and silently hoped that it never ends. Letting out a soft squeak as he was suddenly lifted off the ground and cradled in the man's arms, he gave Hari a confused look. Where do you live, Naruto-chan? Hari asked him, tone soothing and calm. Gentle. Something Naruto had always imagined that his father might have sounded like. Reluctantly giving the directions to his apartment, Naruto wondered if he could convince Hari to stay the night. With it being so close to his birthday, Naruto knew he wasn't really safe. The villagers were always particularly mean and harsh around this time of year. He'd never make the mistake of leaving his apartment the day of his birthday again. Harry frowned when he entered the apartment Naruto directed him to. It was empty of other people and lacked any evidence of more than one person living there. Naruto, do you live alone? He asked the blonde 7-year-old, who nodded. Gigi gave me the apartment after the orphanage kicked me out. Naruto told him absently as he ran to the kitchen, opening a cabinet before grabbing cup ramen. Harry's eyes narrowed. Unacceptable. No child should live alone. Naruto blinked at him before shrugging. It's not that bad, Darkhybrid. No one really knows I live here, except for Gigi and the ANBU, so the villagers can't bother me. That's not the point, Naruto-chan. You don't deserve this. Someone needs to take care of you. Harry nodded to himself after an idea hit him. I'll stay with you, though I'm not really ready for the village to find out about me, so while we're outside I'll stay in my wolf form. Personally, I prefer my fox form, but I don't think the villagers would be very accepting of that, given Kyuubi's attack 7 years ago. He murmured the last sentence to himself. What? He said when he noticed Naruto was staring at him unblinkingly. Wolf form? The blonde repeated, obviously confused. I have this ability where I can turn into a wolf or a fox. Personally, I like foxes more, but I blame that on my prankster side. Harry told him with a wink and mischievous grin. Naruto's eyes lit up. You're a prankster too? No. I'm the prankster. My pranks are legendary, where I'm from. Naruto stared at him with wide eyes. Really? Tell me a prank you've done, he said eagerly, curiosity bright in his eyes. Well, one time an old rival of mine went too far and insulted my mother, who died giving her life for mine, so I dyed his hair a bright pink with bright yellow highlights. That guy loved his hair and spent hours on it, according to some rumors. He fainted dead away when he saw what I had done. I even got pictures for blackmail. Harry snickered at the memory, lips twisting into a smirk. Naruto burst into laughter, grinning. That's awesome, Darkhybrid. Yes, it was. The best part was that it lasted for 2 weeks. Harry's smirk widened. Anyway, want to see my fox form? Naruto nodded excitedly, practically bouncing in place. Harry took a breath before swiftly transforming into Loki, his fox animagus. He was a slightly larger than average black fox with bright green eyes, the tip of his tail white. Naruto's jaw dropped in awe and he held out his hand, pausing just before his hand touched Harry's muzzle, his eyes meeting Harry's as he asked a silent question. Harry moved his head and bumped it against Naruto's playfully, earning a soft laugh and happy smile from the boy, who proceeded to gently run his fingers through Harry's fur. "Your fur is so soft," the blonde murmured, a yawn suddenly passing his lips. Harry huffed and bit the hem of Naruto's shirt, gently tugging him towards the bedroom. Naruto obediently followed, too tired to protest. Once the young Jinchuriki was changed with his teeth brush, Harry leapt onto the bed and patted it with a paw, all while giving Naruto a stern, pointed look. Naruto let out a few grumbles as he climbed into the bed, though he smiled when Harry, still in fox form, curled protectively around him. Both fell asleep moments later, warm and content. When Naruto opened his eyes the next morning, he was both surprised and happy to discover that Harry was still wrapped around him protectively, making him feel warm and safe once again. Joy washed through him as he realized that no, last night was not a dream. That someone other than Gigi had looked at him with kind and gentle eyes. Had spoken to him with nice words. Reaching a hand out, Naruto gently began to pet Harry's fur, silently marveling at the softness of it. Snuggling closer to the fox, he closed his eyes with a small sigh of contentment, a smile lifting his lips. "You are too adorable, Naruto-chan." Naruto jumped, his eyes snapping open in surprise. He huffed once he realized what Harry called him. "Don't call me Chan. I'm not a girl, Dadabayo." The fox pouted, ears drooping in sadness. But it's my own special nickname for you." Harry sniffled, looking utterly pitiful. Naruto's eyes widened, the warm feeling in his chest growing at the thought of someone giving him a nickname only to be used by them. I guess you can call me Naruto-chan," he muttered, scratching the back of his head nervously while looking away, cheeks turning a bright pink. He yelped when he was suddenly tackled by a human Harry. "So kawaii, Naruto-chan," Harry cooed, hugging him tightly. Naruto's blush darkened. "I'm not cute, Dadabayo." Harry chuckled and released him, standing. "Sure you're not, Naruto-chan. Now, how about some breakfast?" he asked. Naruto perked up. "Ramen?" he asked with a grin. Harry gave him a disapproving look. "Ramen isn't a healthy breakfast, Naruto-chan," he said before giving him a suspicious look. "Naru, you live by yourself. Does that mean you buy your own food?" Naruto nodded hesitantly, wary of where this was going. "Do the villagers let you buy food?" Naruto didn't move for a few moments before he eventually shook his head. Harry snarled in fury, the shadows in the room moving restlessly. "Those bastards!" he hissed darkly, hands clenching into fists. Naruto eyed him in concern. "Hari?" The brunette took a deep breath, letting it out slowly as a way to calm him nerves. "Sorry, you don't deserve this, Naru," Harry said, pulling Naruto into his arms, the blonde immediately relaxing in his arms. Releasing him a few seconds later, Harry took out his trunk and unshrank it, chuckling when he saw Naruto's wide-eyed look. Opening the trunk, he opened one of the 7 compartments, which contained food. Summoning all of it into the kitchen and into their correct places, he went to the kitchen to make breakfast, Naruto following close behind him. While Naruto sat at the table, Harry began making a traditional Japanese breakfast, which consisted of steamed rice, miso soup, grilled fish, tamagoyaki, rolled omelet, and tsukimono pickles, along with onigiri. "You know how to cook, Hari?" Naruto asked after a few minutes of silence. Harry nodded. Since I was 4. "Did you live alone too?" "In a way, I guess. After my parents were murdered when I was a year old, I was sent to my aunt and uncle. The only problem was, they hated my parents, and me by default. They didn't want me, and made sure I knew that. My bedroom was the cupboard under the stairs and I was forced to do all the chores, cooking, cleaning, gardening. They never used my name, calling me Freak instead. I actually thought my name was Freak until I started school when I was 6. Harry told Naruto, knowing the boy wouldn't judge him and give him pity. Besides, it felt good to finally say everything out loud. Like a weight was lifted off his shoulders. If I didn't finish my chores or do them correctly, I was punished. Usually it was going to bed without dinner, but it's not like they feed me well anyway. Everything they gave me was always scraps. Other times I got a beating. Actually broke a few of my bones sometimes. And their son didn't act much better towards me. Even invented a game, Harry hunting. He and his minions would chase me around and, if I was caught, beat me until I was black and blue. But most of the time I was too fast for them. Harry continued as he set the plates. Putting the food on the table, he looked at Naruto, freezing when he saw tears in the boy's eyes. "Naru-chan?" Naruto sniffled and tackled Harry in a tight hug. "Hari and I has me now. You don't have to go back to those mean people. I'll be your precious person, Dadabayo." Harry's own eyes watered a bit at that, and he smiled gently, eyes warm with fondness. Naruto had already taken residence in his heart, despite the short time they knew each other. "You're already my precious person, Naru." Naruto beamed at him, and Harry had never seen someone so happy before. He vowed to himself then that he would do everything in his power to make sure those bright blue eyes never went dull with despair and pain. It's been a week since Harry and Naruto met. During that time, the two had gotten closer, Harry's protectiveness over the blonde growing as he began to view the blonde as a little brother, or even a son. When Naruto left the apartment to go to the academy, Harry was right there beside him, though he always went in his wolf form. A plus of this was that the villagers now avoided and ignored Naruto for the most part, after Harry had nearly torn out the throat of a man who dared insult the Jinchuriki. Naruto's classmates were also wary of Harry, who took pleasure in growling at them when they got too mean towards his charge. He especially loved baring his teeth at Harino Sakura, who was constantly berating Naruto. The second Harry realized Naruto had a crush on the girl, he had ranted for hours about how Naruto deserved better than the pink-haired bitch who treated him like trash. It took some convincing and a few more rants before Naruto listened to Harry and actually gave thought to how Harino treated him. He still had a small crush on her, but it was gradually fading, which made Harry more than happy. He didn't want his Naruchan to end up with an abusive bitch like Harino. Something Harry had noticed when he went to the academy was how everyone else treated one Uchiha Sasuke. He had heard about the Uchiha massacre, how Sasuke was the only survivor. Harry could see the loneliness in the boy, the need for revenge resting behind that loneliness. He knew Naruto was worried about his fellow classmate and wanted to talk to him, but knew that Sasuke would see it as pity, not actual concern. Harry blinked when Naruto came to a sudden halt on their way back to the apartment. Looking around, he saw that they were near the lake where Sasuke always was. Following Naruto's gaze, he saw that the blonde was, indeed, watching Sasuke, who was once again cloaked by a shadow of loneliness. Making a decision, Harry trotted down the stairs and up to his fellow brunette before gently hitting his arm with a paw. Sasuke jumped and snapped his gaze to him, eyebrows furrowing. "Aren't you that mutt who's always with the dobe?" he muttered. Harry huffed, not appreciating being called a mutt. Taking a hold of Sasuke's sleeve between his teeth, he tugged softly. Sasuke's eyes narrowed and he scowled. "What do you want?" Harry rolled his eyes and continued tugging until the 7 nearly 8 years old stood. Moving behind the Uchiha, he pushed him with his head towards the stairs. Arching an eyebrow, Sasuke stared at the wolf. "You want me to go up the stairs to the dobe, don't you?" Harry nodded, pushing him again. Sasuke shook his head. "Why would I want to go to the dobe?" Harry scowled and, making a split-second decision, turned back into a human, despite knowing that a few A and B were watching from the shadows. He'd deal with that later. "Because Naru and I see how lonely you are and think that you need some company, since we understand the pain of loneliness all too well." Sasuke stared at him with wide eyes. "Why you how?" "It's a bloodline. A very old and rare one. Now, if you don't come willingly, know that I'm not afraid to use force." Sasuke glared darkly at that. "You wouldn't dare," he hissed. "Is that a challenge? I'll take it as a challenge." Moving forward, Harry grabbed Sasuke and threw him over his shoulder before the kid could react. Heading back to Naruto, who was staring with eyes wide in shock, he grabbed the blonde and apparat to the apartment. Sasuke let out a groan as he was set down, holding his stomach as he turned a bit green. Naruto winced with sympathy. "Yeah, it's like that the first couple times," he said, patting the brunette with understanding and sympathy. Sasuke glared at him. "Who the hell is he? Who are you?" He turned his glare to Harry, who gave him a disapproving look. "Language, Sasuke." Sasuke blinked, taken aback by the reprimand. Hari and I, why did you take Sasuke and bring him here?" Naruto asked the green-eyed 19-year-old, shocking the Uchiha with the use of his first name. "'Cause he's staying the night." "What?" came the shouted response from both Sasuke and Naruto. Harry turned to Sasuke. "You need company, Sasuke. Company other than rabid fangirls and ass-kissers. Not to mention, staying in the house where your family was killed isn't good for your health." Sasuke gave him a defiant look, arms crossed over his chest. "I can take care of myself." "I don't doubt that, but everyone needs someone, and you've been alone since your family died. And children shouldn't be alone." Naruto stepped forward. "Please stay the night, Sasuke. I know you don't like me, no one but Hari and I does, but I want to be your friend." Sasuke turned to him with a sneer. "Of course you want to be my friend. Who doesn't want to be the friend of the last Uchiha?" he hissed with bitterness. Naruto growled, glaring at him. "Don't think me so shallow, you damn team! You're not just the last Uchiha to me, Databeo. Harry flicked Naruto's forehead, making the boy blink. Language, Naruchan. I just scolded Sasuke-chan earlier, what makes you think you can get away with it? Naruto flushed. Gomen, Harry and I. Why do you call him brother when you're clearly not related to him? Sasuke asked, unable to keep his curiosity at bay. Naruto huffed. We don't have to be related for him to be my brother. Haryanai is the only one who cares for me and doesn't see me as annoying or a demon. Demon? Naruto's eyes widened as he realized what he let slip. Demon? Who said demon? He laughed nervously. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. Who calls you a demon, Uzumaki? He demanded. Naruto swallowed, panic rising in him. Naruto, answer me. Sasuke ground out, refusing to be ignored. The villagers, okay. The blonde finally exploded. They all hate me. Sasuke scoffed. Oh, please. Why would they hate you, of all people? Naruto's eyes misted over as he curled into himself. I don't know. His voice cracked in the middle. They just do. And I don't know what I did wrong. He sobbed. Harry quickly pulled him into his arms, rubbing his back soothingly as he whispered calming words into his ear. Guilt washed through Sasuke as he watched Naruto break down, and he shifted uncomfortably before he moved toward the brothers and hesitantly put a hand on Naruto's shoulder. I'm sorry, Yuzum Naruto. I shouldn't have pushed you like that. And you shouldn't believe the villagers. You're not a demon. Just a dope. Sasuke told the blonde, an awkward look on his face. Harry snickered, though he sent a grateful look at Sasuke as Naruto relaxed a bit, the sobs stopping. Naruto's actually very smart. He just doesn't like to show it because he thinks the villagers will react worse to his existence. And I have to agree with him. A smart demon is more dangerous than a dumb demon, he said, kissing the top of Naruto's head. Sasuke blinked. That makes sense, I guess. He murmured. Hard to believe, though. Harry nodded. Naruto has a very good mask, kind of like mine when I went to school, only I wasn't as loud. I think the only one who suspects him is that Nara kid. Shikamaru? Naruto asked, tilting his head to the side as he looked up at his brother. Harry nodded again. He watches you sometimes, as if he knows that you're hiding something or something like that. Anyway, I'm going to go make dinner. Any preferences, Sasuke-chan? Sasuke immediately scowled. Don't call me Chan and anything with tomatoes. He added, looking away with a red tint to his cheeks. Harry smiled and ruffled his hair. Honestly. Between you and Naruto, I'm going to die from the adorableness. Both Naruto and Sasuke blushed, making Harry laugh as he headed to the kitchen to start dinner. Sasuke turned to Naruto. Your brother is crazy, he said bluntly. How did you two even meet? Naruto's smile slipped, and he paled before he forced a grin. Oh, just bumped into each other, he said with a fake laugh. Sasuke gave him an unimpressed look, though the concern in his eyes was obvious. You don't have to tell me, but I'd appreciate it if you didn't lie to me. Naruto sighed and motioned for Sasuke to follow him to his room, where he sat on his bed, staring at his lap. Sasuke climbed up next to him, the worry never leaving his face. Seeing Naruto like this was unusual, and not natural. Naruto was supposed to be grinning and loud. Happy and bright. Not sad and in obvious emotional pain. I'll tell you if you tell me what happened the night your family died. Naruto looked up and met Sasuke's wide eyes. Sasuke gritted his teeth and nodded. Logically, he knew that he needed to tell someone, that holding it all in wasn't good for his mental health. But that didn't mean he was ready to tell someone what he witnessed that night. Sasuke jerked out of his thoughts when he felt something grab his hand and looked at it to see Naruto's was hold his. He looked up, locking eyes with the blonde. It's okay, Sasuke. It feels better once you let it out, the blonde told him. Sasuke nodded and took in a deep breath and began. Harry softly knocked on the door before opening it, peeking his head into the room. Dinner's are you two okay? What happened? He dashed to their sides the second he saw Naruto and Sasuke's tear-stained faces and desperately clasped hands. Naruto sniffled and wiped his eyes with his sleeve. We're fine, and I-san. Just talking. He reassured his brother, giving him a smile. Harry gave him a doubtful look. But you're crying. Why are you crying? Studying the two and seeing how they looked lighter somehow, understanding soon dawned on him. Oh, you two. He sat on the bed and pulled the two into his arms, ignoring the way Sasuke immediately stiffened, and held them close. Look, don't think about the past, okay? I'm here, and I'll do everything I can to protect you. Both of you. From now on, you're a part of our family, Sasuke, no matter what you say or do. Harry told them, Naruto nodding in agreement to the last part. Fresh tears trailed down Sasuke's cheeks and he curled further into Harry and Naruto, body trembling, glad that he didn't have to be alone anymore. Relieved that for once, he wasn't seeing Itachi covered in his parents' blood in his mind. Giving the two young boys a squeeze, Harry reluctantly released them and ruffled their hair. Come on. Dinner's ready. We can cuddle and go to sleep after we eat, Kay? They nodded and stood, though they stuck close to Harry as they headed to the kitchen. Dinner was quiet, Sasuke and Naruto too emotionally drained to provide any conversation. Once everyone was done, Harry cleaned up the kitchen while the boys got ready for bed. The two boys climbed into Naruto's bed after changing and brushing their teeth, Harry joining them after he shifted into his fox form. Sasuke stared at him with wide eyes. How many animal forms do you have? He asked, a hint of awe in his tone. He has two, Naruto answered while Harry curled up in between them. This form and then his wolf form, he told Sasuke, wrapping an arm around Harry, who let out a soft, content growl. Sasuke grunted, laying down and wrapping his own arm around Harry after a moment's hesitation. It wasn't long before the three of them were asleep. Harry awoke first to a face full of sunlight, and two bodies curled into his own. Letting out a yawn, he wiggled out of the two boys' holds and hopped off the bed, shifting back into a human. He smiled when he saw the boys latch onto each other, and went to take a quick shower and wash Sasuke and Naruto's clothes before starting breakfast. It was as he washed finishing up the omelets that the boys finally woke up and stumbled into the kitchen, still a bit groggy. Setting their plates in front of them, Harry ruffled their hair and kissed the top of their heads. Morning, boys. Sasuke grumbled. How are you so awake? Harry smiled at him. I've always been a morning person. Kinda had to be, growing up. Anyway, what do you two want to drink? Milk. Naruto automatically responded. Harry poured him a glass and looked at Sasuke expectantly. I'll have milk too. After handing them their drinks, Harry took a seat to eat his own breakfast. They ate in silence before Naruto spoke up, looking unsure. Do you want to go to the academy together today, Sasuke? Sasuke nodded. I have to go home to change, though. No need. I washed your clothes. Harry pointed to Sasuke's clothes, which were folded and on top of the table in front of the couch. Sasuke nodded, smiling a tad shyly at Harry. When was the last time anyone had washed his clothes for him? Where some cared enough to do anything for him without expecting anything in return? It was a nice change, and Sasuke had a feeling he'd be spending a lot of time with Naruto and his brother from now on. Hurry up, boys. School starts soon and you don't want to be late. Harry spoke up, glancing at the clock on the wall. Quickly eating the rest of their food, Naruto and Sasuke ran to the bedroom to get ready, the latter grabbing his clothes on the way. Harry busied himself with cleaning up the kitchen and doing the dishes, humming absent-mindedly to himself as he did so. 15 minutes later, the two 7-year-olds were ready and standing before him. Smiling at them, Harry shifted into his wolf form and nudged them toward the door. Together, they headed for the academy, receiving baffled looks from the civilians that were awake. Harry growled warningly at anyone who openly protested their precious Uchiha spending time with the demon brat. Most shut up quickly, but one man learned the hard way and received a rather deep bite to the hand when he dared to try and grab Naruto with less than pleasant intentions. When they reached the academy and entered the classroom, everyone went silent as they stared at the trio with wide, disbelieving eyes. Sasuke glared at them and sat in an empty seat, pulling Naruto into the one next to him. The disbelief and astonishment grew. Naruto! Why are you sitting next to Sasuke? That's my seat! Hiruno yelled, getting ready to punch the blonde. Harry glared at her, growling low in his throat. Sasuke followed his example, narrowing his eyes darkly on the pink-haired girl. Touch him and I'll end you, Hiruno. The girl stumbled back in shock, eyes wide. As Sasuke? Why are you siding with him? He's nothing but an annoying brat. All he does is prank people. He's a dope. Don't call him that. Sasuke's glare turned colder and more steely the longer she had continued. Noticing the pain in Naruto's eyes, his glare became glacial and his hands clenched into fists. How had he never noticed how the blonde was treated? No. He had noticed, he just hadn't thought much of it, which he was no regretting. Naruto didn't deserve this. Any of this. Back off, Hiruno. This is your only warning. Tears fell from Hiruno's eyes, but Sasuke ignored her and turned to Naruto, who gave him a true, genuine smile, making him almost want to smile in return as warmth washed through him. He'd make Naruto smile like that more often, he promised himself. He didn't want to see those fake smiles anymore, not after he was starting to get to actually know the blonde. It didn't take long for the three of them to become inseparable. Sasuke was more often than not at Naruto's, so much so that he practically lived there now. The villagers and ninja in Konoha noticed the sudden closeness of Sasuke and Naruto right away, as the two were always seen together now. Many of the villagers protested against the closeness of the boys, saying Naruto would corrupt Sasuke, but were soon silenced by the combined efforts of Harry's growls and Sasuke's glares. Harry was pleased to note that Sasuke also refused to let anyone berate Naruto, the boy having become fiercely protective of his first friend and surrogate younger brother. The 19-year-old was greatly amused to see the Uchiha rip into Haruno after she took insulting Naruto a bit too far due to her jealousy. The only downside to the event was that she began treating Naruto even worse and very clearly despised his existence, hating that he was closer to Sasuke than she was. Harry also noticed the increase in ANBU that was watching both Sasuke and Naruto. The 19-year-old had no doubt that the Hokage knew of his existence, but figured that the old man wouldn't act unless it was clear he was a threat. Harry was most intrigued by the ANBU with the silver hair and dog mask. The man had a pleasant scent and was one of the rare few that actually stepped in when a villager was harassing Naruto. He was also the ANBU that seemed to be paying the closest attention to Harry, as if daring him to do harm against Naruto and Sasuke. Harry had also noticed another figure following them, this one unknown. They didn't feel like a threat, so Harry wasn't worried, but that didn't mean he wasn't curious. His curiosity got the best of him one night, and he operated to where he could feel to them after making it look like he was getting in the showing, mostly so the silver-haired Umbu wouldn't get suspicious. The figure, a teen with long black hair tied into a low ponytail, whirled toward him, eyes wide and muscle tense in preparation to attack should Harry prove to be a threat. Harry could see the surprise and confusion in the other's eyes and held his hands up in a placating gesture, showing that he meant no harm. "Easy there. I don't want to fight," the 19-year-old reassured him, taking in the younger boy's features. "Itachi, I presume?" Itachi glared at him. "How did you know I was here? Not even the Umbu can sense me." "Nothing gets past me, Ida-chan." Itachi's eyes widened. "Ida-chan?" he hissed, grabbing a kunai and gripping it tightly in his hand. No one had ever dared to call him such a thing, not even his mother. Harry chuckled. "You're cute." Well, he looked the other over, grin turning into a smirk. "Gorgeous is more like it." The Uchiha fought down a blush and the urge to look away, unsure of how to respond to that. "So, are you watching over Sasuke? Making sure he's alright or something? Or are you here to report to the Hokage with news on the Akatsuki?" Harry asked, curiosity filling him. He blinked when he suddenly found himself pinned to the ground, a kunai against his throat. "Sasuke will be most displeased if you kill me, Ida-chan," he stated, not at all concerned with the sharp blade that could end his life any second. "How do you know about the Akatsuki?" Itachi demanded, glaring down at him. Harry sighed and met Itachi's eyes, which were currently red due to the Sharingan. "I'm not a threat, Itachi. All I care about is Naruto and Sasuke, so unless you plan on harming them, then you have nothing to worry about." He narrowed his eyes at the Uchiha. "You don't, do you?" Itachi stared at him silently for a few moments before saying, "I'm not a threat to Naruto and Sasuke." "You worry about him, don't you? That's why you're really here, isn't it?" Itachi tensed, but didn't say anything. "He does love you, you know," Harry continued, gazing up at the starlit sky. "He says he hates you, but that's because he's in pain." He met the younger's eyes again. "You'll have to tell him the truth someday, Itachi, before he truly does begin to hate you. And I know that is the last thing you want." "How could you know what I want?" Itachi hissed at him. "Your eyes. Have you ever heard the eyes are the windows to the soul? You can learn a lot about someone just by looking into their eyes. And you have such lonely, sad eyes, Itachi. Just like Sasuke's, before Naruto and I got to him. And I see the love you hold for him. You get this look every time he's mentioned." Suddenly, he rolled over so he was on top of Itachi. "Be careful, Itachi. If you ever need someone to talk or rant to, know that I'm here." With that, he kissed the younger's cheek before operating back home, leaving behind a confused, unsure, and emotionally shaken Itachi Uchiha. Before Harry knew it, 2 years had passed and his boys were now 10. Though he had never said so out loud, he saw the two as his kids. They were his sons in everything but blood, though he would have no objection to a blood adoption. And because he loved them, he decided that they were old enough for him to begin training them. The academy only taught them so much and Harry wanted them to be prepared for the future before them. He also decided that he would tell them the truth behind the attack 10 years ago. Naruto deserved to know, as it was his body that contained the Kyuubi. He also wanted to tell them about his meetings with Itachi, but knew that wouldn't be wise. Not only because Itachi didn't want his brother to know he's been watching over him, much less that he's actually not a missing nin, but because Sasuke still didn't know the truth behind the massacre and Harry wanted Itachi to be the one to tell him. After that first meeting, Itachi had visited Harry each time he came to Konoha to either report to the Hokage or check on his brother. Sometimes they sat in silence, other times they talked about anything and everything, and sometimes they spoke about their pasts. Harry made sure he had plenty of sweets for those nights, especially Dango and Pocky. The two had grown close the past 2 years, had become best friends even. A pact bond had formed between them, so Harry always knew if Itachi was in danger or hurt. Harry hated the days he was, since he could do nothing about it. Letting out a sigh, Harry broke from his thoughts and sat down on the grass and motioned for Naruto and Sasuke to join him. The two did, curious looks on their faces. Harry and I? What did you want to talk about? Naruto asked, head tilted to the side cutely. Harry immediately cooed and glommed him. You're so cute, Naruto-chan. Sasuke's sweat dropped. You're seriously crazy, Harry and I. He told the other brunette. Harry grinned at him. You're so sweet, Sasuke-chan. Sasuke rolled his eyes and crossed his arms over his chest. Now, what do you want? We're skipping the academy because of you and you know how Iruka-sensei is. The Uchiha shuddered at the thought of his teacher, who would be furious with him and Naruto for skipping school. Harry waved a hand dismissively, a serious look coming over his face. This is more important than school. And also, Yumino-kun is cute when he's angry, he retorted, letting out a breath before turning to the blonde. Naruto, I'm going to reveal why the villagers act the way they do towards you. It's an SS class secret, but I don't think it's fair to keep it from you. You two cannot tell anyone what I am about to reveal to you, understand? They nodded, gaining their own serious faces. Double-checking his privacy wards, Harry began. 10 years ago, when the Kyuubi attacked, a baby was born from a Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Kushina. A Jinchuriki is a sacrifice, an individual who has a tailed demon sealed into them. Kushina was your mother, Naruto. Naruto's eyes widened. My mom had the Kyuubi sealed in her? He breathed out in shock. Harry nodded. She did. I don't know much about her, only what I found in a forbidden file. From what I read though, she was an amazing kunoichi. What about my father? Do you know who he is? Naruto asked, or demanded, tone a touch hysterical. Sasuke grabbed his hand and gave it a comforting squeeze, which Naruto gratefully returned. Harry nodded. Your father is a bit more obvious. You idolize him, actually. Sasuke gasped. The Yondaime? Realization shined in black eyes. Oh, Kami. Naruto, he turned to his brother, grip on his hand tightening when he saw the tears falling from blue eyes. I'm the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, aren't I? Tailed demons can't be killed, but they can be sealed away and Mom was a Jinchuriki. And the Yondaime wouldn't use someone else's kid. More tears fell and the blonde trembled. The villagers hate me because all they see is the Kyuubi, not me. Harry cupped Naruto's face in his hands. Listen to me, Naruto. I love you, okay? You will always just be my little Naruto-chan to me, got it? You are not the Kyuubi and don't listen to the bastards that tell you otherwise. Naruto smiled wetly at him. I love you too, Otosan. Harry froze for a moment before a wide smile spread across his face and he kissed Naruto's forehead. You can't imagine how happy you have just made me, Naruto-chan. Beside them, Sasuke scowled. Hey! You're my Otosan too, you know. He grunted, pouting. Harry glommed him. You are too cute for your own good, Sasuke-chan. Of course you are my son too. I love you both, my cute little chibis. Both Naruto and Sasuke flushed, half from anger at being called chibi and half from embarrassment. Oh. And there is something else. I decided that I'm finally going to begin training you, Harry declared as he released Sasuke. The two 10-year-olds brightened. Really? They asked excitedly. Harry nodded. Obviously I can't teach you magic or anything that has to do with chakra, but I can teach you taijutsu and kenjutsu. Naruto shifted and looked at his newly dubbed dad shyly. Actually, Otosan, I want to learn how to use your scythe. Both Harry and Sasuke blinked in shock. The scythe was a weapon Harry rarely used, though he would admit it was his favorite besides his katana. Why the scythe? Harry asked. Because it's awesome and you always look so cool when you train with it. I want to be cool like that too, Databeo. Naruto responded, eyes bright. Harry laughed. Okay, I'll teach you how to wield the scythe. And you, Sasuke? Do you want to wield the katana or something else? He turned to the other boy. The katana. Harry nodded. All right. Then, training starts right now. I hope you two are prepared for some tough training, because I won't be going easy on you. He told them with a wicked smirk, making them gulp and share a terrified look. We are so dead, was their shared though. An exhausted groan escaped Naruto as he collapsed on the ground, breath heavy and uneven. Beside him, Sasuke looked just as tired and ready to drop as well. For the past 4 hours, Harry had been pushing them to their limits, working on their reflexes and correcting their stances. Taking pity on them, Harry relaxed from his offensive stance and approached them. All right, I think that's enough for the day. Why don't you two head home, Kay? He told them, slipping his kunais back into their sheaths. The two 10-year-olds gave him suspicious looks. And what about you? Laughing, he smiled at them. Don't worry. I'm just going to do some training of my own. Maybe run around for a bit. Promise. They nodded and, after giving him a quick hug each, headed back to the apartment, which Harry had expanded with his magic now that 3 people were living there. Once they were gone, Harry turned to the tree directly to his right and looked up, directly at the ANBU with silver hair and pleasant scent. The man froze, his gray eye narrowing. You can come down, now. I know you want to talk to me. Promise I don't bite. Much. He sent the man a wink with a smirk. Eyes widening in shock, the man let out an embarrassed cough, though he jumped down from the tree branch he was crouched on. Hogage-sama would like to speak with you, Hari-san. Harry nodded. I'm not surprised. Will you be escorting me there, ANBU-san? He asked, his smirk still in place. I will, yes. The man responded, eyeing him warily. Lead the way, then. It didn't take long for Harry and the ANBU to reach the Hokage Tower, Harry keeping up using his magic, having long ago learned to use it to boost his speed and strength. Jumping into the Hokage's office after the ANBU, Harry wasn't surprised to sense other ANBU hidden throughout the room. Ignoring them, the brunette turned to the Hokage and bowed his head slightly. Hokage-san, it's a pleasure to finally meet you. Naruto speaks fondly of you. Harry smiled at the man, who was watching him with calculating eyes. I could say the same. You're all Naruto speaks of when he comes to visit. He loves you very much. The Hokage stated. Which is why I called you here. I would like to know of your intentions towards Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke. They are my sons, Hokage-san. I love them very much and will protect them from every threat to them and their well-being. And I dare anyone to try to take them from me. He responded, a warning tone in his voice as his eyes narrowed on the man. The man's eyes narrowed as well. Is that a threat, Hari-san? A promise, Hokage-san. Sasuke and Naruto are my family and I refuse to lose them as well. So, should you try to take them, know that I will retaliate and that you will lose. Harry told him, an edge to his tone. The silver-haired ANBU scoffed. What could a mere man like you do against the Hokage? Harry gave him a dangerous smirk. I'm the last person you want to go up against, ANBU-san. I can be your greatest ally, or your worst enemy. And I'd hate to be your enemy, because I rather like Konoha, despite its villagers. I'm not a threat, not unless you make me one. Harry told them honestly. The Hokage studied him for a moment before nodding. All right. Know that I don't trust you, but I do trust that you won't bring Naruto or Sasuke any harm. Harry grinned at him. Does that mean I'm free to go? My adorable chibis will get worried if I'm gone too long. The Hokage nodded. You are free to go. You as well, Ina-san. But one last thing, Hari-san. Hari arched an eyebrow, motioning for him to continue. The Hokage leaned forward, eyes serious with a hint of curiosity. How are you able to turn into a wolf? It's a rare bloodline of my people. Bloodline? The Hokage repeated. Do your parents have the same ability? A sad, wistful smile formed on Harry's face. My father did. He was a stag. Sympathy entered the Hokage's eyes. You've experienced much loss. I've seen the look in your eyes in many of our ninjas. War does that, Hokage-san. Where are you from, Hari-san? Harry's eyes went cold and hard instantly at the question, a small sneer twisting his lips at the thought of the wizarding world. Far away. That's all you need to know. Letting out a sigh, the Hokage nodded. You can leave now, Hari-san, though do expect to be called back here sometime in the future. Not wasting any time, Harry gave the Hokage a quick bow before leaping out the window, landing in a crouch outside, Inu-san right behind him. Heading to the apartment, he ignored the ANBU who insisted on following. He was a block away from the apartment when he felt it. A snapping in his chest. A pack bond breaking. One of his packmates were dead. Harry clutched his chest, freezing as his blood went cold. Pain flashed through him and grief and fear twisted in his heart. What most people didn't know was that Harry was very in tune with his animal forms. It was why his senses were more than average. It was also why he could feel and form pack bonds, where he was the alpha. At least, he became alpha after Remus had died. Hari-san? Inu asked him worriedly. Who? Harry muttered, tears forming in his eyes. Who was it, Death? He asked, glad that the street was deserted except for him and Inu. Death. Inu stared at Harry with wide, disbelieving eyes. What are yo? I apologize, Master, but it was her time. Kakashi shivered as the cold, raspy, and emotionless voice hit his ears, a chill running down his spine when he spotted the being before Hari. It had no decipherable gender, and its eyes were completely black, its face almost skeletal in appearance. Shadows licked at their feet and twisted around them. Kakashi fought the urge to flee, every instinct of his telling him to run far away, very far away. Andy? Harry whispered, his mind going to the only female left in his pack, Luna having died in the war and Hermione a traitor. His fear increased as he realized something else. Teddy! Do not worry, Master, Death said as it stepped to the side, revealing 4 figures, 2 men and 2 children. Uncle Harry? The oldest boy at 6 years old whispered, eyes widening in hope. Harry dropped to his knees, his emotions going haywire as his heart beat wildly in his chest. Ted? Hair turning a bright blue, the boy ran into Harry's arms, the green-eyed 20-year-old hugging him tightly in return. They took you away. The boy cried into his neck. They took you away and you didn't come back. Grandma said you were with Mama and Daddy. Tears of his own formed in Harry's eyes. Oh, Teddy. I'm so sorry. So sorry. He pulled away enough to kiss the boy's head. I missed you so much. Harry? Harry looked up, green eyes locking with icy blue. Draco. What are you doing here? Is that Scorpius? He asked, looking at the 4 years old in the blonde's arms. It is. He's gotten big, huh? Draco smiled as he turned to his son, who was looking around curiously, as Harry stood, Teddy still in his arms. Yeah, he humph. Harry blinked as he was suddenly pulled into a tight hug by one George Weasley. I wanted to kill them, the man whispered. After everything you did, they just threw you away. You didn't deserve that, Ree. Not after what you've gone through for those ungrateful bastards. Otosan? What's going on? A worried, childish voice reached Harry's ears. Naruchan. Harry pulled away from George and looked to his right to see his sons with concerned and wary looks on their faces. Sasuchan? George blinked and turned to Harry. You're a dad? Harry smiled at him, nodding. Yup. George, meet Naruto and Sasuke, my sons. Naruchan, Sasuchan, meet George, Draco, Teddy, and Scorpius. Glancing around, Harry took note that Death had disappeared. Sasuke and Naruto's eyes widened. Your family from before? Sasuke asked as he studied the new faces, his eyes stopping on the NBU. Who's he? Harry blinked and followed his gaze. Oh, Inu-san. I had forgotten about you. Inu stared at him unblinkingly. Who are you, Hari-san? That's for me to know and you to maybe find out. We'll see. The green-eyed wizard turned back to his sons and set Teddy down. Ted, meet Naruto and Sasuke, your cousins, I guess you could say. Teddy smiled shyly, waving. Hi. I'm Teddy. Nice to meet ya, Teddy. Naruto beamed at him. Otosan told us about you. Did he mention me? George asked with a mischievous smirk. Naruto nodded, laughing. Otosan told us stories about your adventures and pranks from when you went to school. My favorite is the fireworks one, Databeo. George grinned, though a flash of sadness went through his eyes. Yeah, that's my favorite too. It was my brother's idea. George, Dre, what are you two doing here actually? Not that I'm not happy to see you, but Harry suddenly spoke up. Things are bad back there, Harry. Ever since they killed you, everything's gone to shit. George told him, mood turning somber. Hermione and Ron told the press that you were actually Voldemort's right-hand man, and the real reason you killed him was to take his place, and other bullshit that wasn't true. Skeeter ate it up and the public believed it. Dark creatures are being prosecuted again, and Draco and I had to hide Teddy and Andy to protect them from the ministry. Draco stepped forward, grabbing George's hand and linking their fingers together. We were there when Andy died. When Death showed up to get Teddy, we asked to go as well. A fond smile twisted Harry's lips. In the past 2 years, he and Death had gotten closer, as Harry would sometimes call the entity at night to chat after Naruto and Sasuke had fallen asleep, and it made him happy to know that Death had done this for him. Made his pack whole. I'm glad. Now I don't know about you, but I need food and sleep. This day has been emotionally exhausting. George grinned. Are you cooking? I hope you're cooking. I miss your food, he said, tone excited. Harry snickered. You're like a little kid sometimes, he commented before turning to Inu. Will you be joining us, Inu-san? Thanks for the offer, but I've actually got to go, the silver-haired man told him before disappearing up onto the rooftops. Harry shrugged, figuring the man was most likely going to the Hokage, and turned back to his family. Although hit him then. We're going to need a bigger house. Sasuke turned to him. We could move into the Uchi. Absolutely not. But Otosan. Meeting Sasuke's eyes, Harry let out a sigh after a moment. Let me fix the place up first, alright? Sasuke nodded, smiling up at him. Harry melted and grabbed him, hugging him tightly. So cute. Draco snorted. He's still crazy. Nice to know that never changed. Snickering, George nodded in agreement. Rolling his eyes at the two, he released Sasuke, though he grabbed his hand, as well as one of Naruto's. The blonde beamed at him before he took hold of Teddy's hand, Harry leading them all the apartment. A few hours later, Harry sat on the couch curled up between Draco and George, tears silently falling down his cheeks as he grieved for Andy. Rubbing his back soothingly, George rested his head atop Harry's. She'd be happy, you know, he murmured to the distressed Raven. Happy that you're finally living for once. I know. Just distract me. What else is going on back there? I know you didn't tell me everything. The Muggles were starting to get suspicious, more and more of them discovering us. We think that another war is brewing, and without population so low and idiotic, it won't end well for wizard kind. Magic is dying, Harry. Draco spoke up, leaning his head on Harry's shoulder. Harry let out a sigh. Yeah, I know. Death told me. Said that the world wouldn't last much longer. I just didn't think it would end so soon. Silence surrounded them for a moment before George suddenly hugged Harry tightly. I'm so fucking glad that you're alive, Ree. When those bastards dragged you away, I was so mad. Constantly wondered why they would do that to you. Then Ron came home and told us you had been sent through the veil, with a damn smile on his face. George's eyes narrowed in hate for a second before they softened as he looked down to meet Harry's wet eyes. You're my little brother, Harry, and you always will be. Even if you had sided with Voldemort, I'd be there right beside you. Harry smiled widely at him. Love you too, big bro. George laughed. Yeah, I definitely miss you. Glad to hear it. Now let's go to bed. Dre is already starting to fall asleep on me. Not, was the muttered response from Draco, whose eyes were closed as he lay slumped against Harry. That's a lie, and you know it, Dre, George said with a fond eye roll. Quickly transforming the couch into a bed, Harry snickered at George and Draco's surprise yelps as the three of them tipped over in a tangled heap. Damn it, Harry. A warning would have been nice. Draco scowled half-heartedly at him. But not as amusing. Yeah? Let's just go to bed. Yawning, Harry nodded in agreement and laid down, pulling the blanket up and over him. Don't hog the blanket. PSSH, if anyone hogs the blanket, it's George. Hey! I do not. You do, was the combined answer of Harry and Draco. Huffing, George crawled under the blankets and pouted at them. You two are so mean to me. Grinning sleepily, Harry let out a small laugh. You know we love you. Kissing the top of his head, George murmured, Go to sleep, Harry. Okay. Snuggling into his pillow, Harry drifted off, his brothers beside him. Harry awoke to the feeling that someone was watching him. Letting out a soft groan, he opened his eyes, only to see Inu's mask inches from his face. Arching an eyebrow at the man, he said, Is there a reason you're here, Inu-san? He wasn't worried, since the wards he had set around the apartment kept anyone with ill will towards the residents out. If Inu had been able to get in, he obviously didn't wish harm on Harry or his family. Hokage-sama requests your presence, Harry-san. the ANBU told him. Nudging George, who was laying half sprawled on him, he sat up with a yawn. George, get up. Cuddling further into the brunette, George made a sound of protest. Comfy, he muttered into Harry's stomach. Come on, you need to make breakfast for the kids and I have a Hokage to meet with, so get the hell up. Harry nudged him again, a mischievous look entering his eyes. If you don't let me up, I won't make dessert tonight. Both George and Draco shot upright, their eyes wide. No dessert? They whimpered with pitiful looks on their faces. While they loved Harry's cooking, they loved his baking more. Not unless George makes breakfast. Moving quickly, Draco grabbed George and pulled him out of the bed. You heard the man. Go make breakfast, he said, dragging the redhead into the kitchen. Snickering, Harry stretched with a grin. Works every time. Turning to the ANBU, he told him, just let me shower and get dressed, then we can go. Inu nodded and watched the man as he walked away. You're that ANBU from yesterday. A voice, still groggy from sleep, came from behind him a few minutes later. Kakashi turned to see Sasuke and Naruto behind him, Sasuke having been the one to speak. The brunette was staring at him intently, clearly not happy to see him. Naruto blinked and squinted at the silver-haired man with suspicion. What do you want with Otosan? He demanded. A sliver of pain entered Kakashi's heart at Naruto calling Harry father, but he also felt a sense of relief. Pain, because Naruto could never know his real father, and relief because he was glad that the blonde hadn't been completely alone, that he had someone to look after him since Kakashi himself couldn't. Kakashi had been devastated when he had been told that he wouldn't be allowed to take Naruto, the council forbidding it. Uzumaki-kun. Hokage-sama wishes to see Harry-san. Kakashi told them, his eyebrows lifting when he found himself the victim of two wary and cautious glares. Why does Gigi want to see Otosan? Naruto asked. To make sure he's not a spy. Both Naruto and Sasuke bristled with fury. Otosan isn't a spy, you team. They yelled at him. Language! Harry chided as he walked out of the bathroom, towel drying his hair. Sasuke and Naruto turned to him with angry pouts. But he said you were a spy. Naruto yelled. Harry laughed. Technically, he didn't, Naruto-chan. Besides, he and the Hokage are in the right to be suspicious of me. I'm an unknown who's been living under their nose for years. For all they know, I've been turning you and Sasuke-chan against them and had less than innocent intentions upon taking you two in. Understand? They nodded. Doesn't mean we like it. They grumbled, sending Kakashi more glares. Kissing their foreheads, he smiled gently at them. Don't worry. I'll be fine. Yeah, boys. Foxy-chan is more than capable of taking care of himself, George said as he poked his head into the room. Harry smiled sweetly at him. What did you call me? George gained an oh fuck look on his face and laughed nervously. And nothing. Oh. Draco, let me help you with that. He disappeared back into the kitchen. Humph. Turning to his sons, Harry furrowed his eyebrows as he realized something. Is Teddy still asleep? They nodded, moods turning somber. Yeah. He was really sad and cried himself to sleep, Sasuke told him. Sadness flashed through Harry's eyes and a sigh passed his lips before he ruffled his son's hair. Take care of him while I'm gone, Kay? I'll try not to be too long so we can all spend the day together. No training today? No training today. Now I gotta go, but I'll see you later, Harry told them as he dragged Kakashi to the open window. Love you. Love you too, Otosan. Sasuke and Naruto yelled back as the elder two leapt out the window. If anything happens to Otosan, want to prank the ANBU with me? Naruto asked as he turned to his brother, eyes bright with mischief as a wicked grin twisted his lips, not unlike Harry's. Sasuke smirked. Nothing would make me happier, Naru. Cackling, the two entered the kitchen, where Draco and George felt cold shivers run down their spines. Sharing a glance, they both vowed to never get on the two 10-year-olds' bad sides. A brief surge of panic hit Harry, as he suddenly found himself tied to a chair facing a blonde man with long hair. Letting out a low curse, he turned to the Hokage. What the bloody hell is going on? Inoichi-san here will be entering your mind. Your fate depends on what he finds, the Hokage told him, tone and expression serious. I am sorry to do this, but you have showed skills that exceed even some of my best umbu. Harry's eyes widened in horror. The mind arts were never his strong point. While he had managed to create a barrier around his mind with the help of Remus, it still wasn't as strong as he would like it to be. The only upside he had was that he knew how to organize his memories and mindscape. The horror he felt grew as the man before him got in the stance for the jutsu. Why? Harry was cut off as he suddenly found himself in his mind, Inoichi beside him. Looking around, he couldn't help the fond tilt of his lips as he saw the Slytherin common room. It had become his sanctuary of sorts over his school years, the Slytherins welcoming him despite the front they put up outside of the common room. At first, Snape had protested, but as the years passed he began to see Harry as Harry instead of James, especially after the legitimacy incident. It was that day that Harry finally told an adult about his childhood. Severus became somewhat of an uncle to him after that. Snapping out of his thoughts, he came to just as Inoichi reached for a book in the bookcase. Eyes widening, he dashed to the man and grabbed his arm just as he opened it, resulting in both of them being sucked into the memories. All around them there was destruction, rubble and bodies on the ground, blood splattered everywhere. Screams and yells filled the air, along with the growls of the werewolves. Jets of lights flashed in every direction, some hitting people and some not. And Harry had to rewatch as a familiar curse hit one of his pack mates. Had to rewatch as she collapsed, blood falling from the large slashes in her chest. Pale blonde hair framed an equally pale face, some of the strands darkened from blood and dirt. Luna! Harry watched himself as he ran to Luna's side, completely ignoring Inoichi's presence as he fell to his knees, tears running down his face. Luna! Luna, please don't die. Please! Memory Harry choked out as he started to do the counter curse for Sectum Sempra, only it wasn't working. Fuck! Trying again and again, he only stopped when a pale hand grabbed his. Stop, Harry. You and me both know it's too late. Luna told him, staring up at him with eyes telling him that she had accepted her fate. Her death. No, don't say that. I can't lose you too, Lulu. He told her, clutching her hand tightly. You're my sister, my family. She smiled at him, though it looked as much pained as it did peaceful. And you're my brother and I'll always love you, she said before taking in a gasping breath as her body shuddered. Coughing, blood trickled down from the corner of her mouth. And I wish I could be there when you finally find the happiness you deserve. Lulu. Don't worry about me, Harry. I'll be with my father and Blaze, she told him, the light in her eyes rapidly dimming. Remember, I'll always love you. Her voice trailed into a whisper as she gave her last breath. Luna? Luna! Memory Harry buried his face into her neck as he cried, a grief-filled scream leaving his lips. Cackling laughter suddenly reached his ears and both Memory Harry and Harry's head shot up, hate in their eyes. Inoichi shivered at the level of hate in those gazes. Bellatrix. Both Harrys hissed. Bellatrix smirked at him. Oh, was she precious to you? Potty? Did she mean as much as that mud of cousin of mine did? Memory Harry growled. Don't you fucking dare talk about my godfather, you ugly bitch. He hissed furiously at her, clutching a kunai in his hand. Bellatrix sneered at him. Sirius Black was nothing more than a waste of black blood. His mother should have disposed of him the second he was disowned. She spat at him. And it's a shame your little friend died so soon. I would have loved to play with her a bit more. I'm sure her screams would have been lovely, don't you think, Potter? Red filled Memory Harry's vision as he lunged forward, unsheathing his katana. He slashed at Bellatrix, his movements too fast for her to react. He kept slashing at her, his blade cutting into her skin over and over again even as he dodged the spells she managed to throw at him. She soon fell to her knees, the ooze of blood making her weak. Appearing behind her, he didn't hesitate to shove his sword through her back. Leaning down, he whispered into her ear. I hope you rot in hell. Yanking his blade out of her body, he swiftly sliced her head off. The memory ended only for them to be thrown into another one. One that Harry had relived every time he encountered a Dementor. Lily Potter ran into the nursery, locking the door as she clutched her son to her chest. Putting him into his crib, she knelt down and met his eyes. I love you. I love you so much, Harry. She told him, kissing his forehead. I'll always be with you, no matter what happens. The door suddenly blew open, a cloaked figure with red eyes standing in the doorway. Step aside, mudblood. Please, Lily pleaded. Not Harry. Not my son. Take me instead. I said step aside. Please, not him. Don't kill him. Take me. Avada Kedavra. A scream left the redhead's lips as the spell hit, her body hitting the floor with a thud seconds later, eyes lifeless. The wand was turned on Memory Harry, who was crying as he stared at his mother's body. Avada Kedavra! A flash of green light was seen before the memory changed again. Memory after memory played, from his time at the Dursleys, to the torture he endured from Voldemort, friends and family who died, and finally when he was betrayed and thrown through the veil. Harry's Potter luck having struck again, Enoichi had grabbed the book that contained his worst memories. Though, that was partly Harry's fault. To deceive enemies should his mind ever be invaded again, Harry had made sure the cover of that particular book was plain and unassuming so no one would look in it. As the last memory ended, Enoichi dropped the book in his hands and quickly exited Harry's mind. The second he was back in his body, he dashed to Harry's side, concern and fear engulfing him when he saw the blank gaze and tears running down the other man's face, my fault being murmured over and over again from the boy's lips. Grasping the boy's shoulders, Enoichi knelt before him. Hari-san, it's okay. It wasn't your fault. None of what happened was your fault, he stated firmly, cursing when he got no reaction. What's happening? Kakashi demanded, worry and concern clear in his tone. What's wrong with him? Enoichi shook his head. I didn't know, he said, speaking of the book. Usually, the bad memories were black and chained in a corner or something similar. He hadn't thought that the book he picked up contained those memories. If he had known, he wouldn't have touched it, much less opened it. Enoichi, what did you see? The Hokage spoke up, tone serious. His worst memories. Kakashi and the Hokage's eyes widened. The shadows in the room suddenly darkened and grew, a figure forming from them in the middle of the room. Kakashi shivered as he recognized the being as the one from last night. A being who was very pissed off at the moment. Death went to Harry's side, Enoichi jumping back to get away from the terrifying presence. Master, a raspy and cold voice left the being as it sliced the ninja wire tying Harry down. Harry blinked and slowly turned to Death. I couldn't save them. There was nothing you could do, Master. A sob left Harry and he wrapped his arms around Death, hugging it tightly. That doesn't make it hurt any less, Death. No, it doesn't, but just remember that they'd want you to be happy. Harry nodded and pulled himself together, if only for the moment, but exhaustion made him sag against Death. Letting out a sigh, Death touched his forehead with a murmured spell. Catching Harry as he slipped into unconsciousness, Death turned to the Hokage. My master is not an enemy, but know this. Should anything happen to him or his charges, I will destroy this village. Who are you? Sarutobi asked, body tense and tone firm. Death smirked. You know me as Shinigami, it said before melting into the shadows, taking Harry with it. Sarutobi paled. How is that boy the master of such a being? I don't know, but Hari-san isn't an enemy, Hokage-sama, Enoichi told him. Sarutobi nodded. I won't ask of what you saw, but how much has that boy been through? War. He was the leader in a war and those he fought for betrayed him. That is all I am revealing. A heavy silence echoed through the room. Naruto and Sasuke looked up from where they were entertaining Teddy as they felt a new presence in the room, freezing when they saw the unconscious form of their father in the arms of Death. Otosan! They yelled, running to their father's side as Death laid him on the couch. He will sleep for a few hours, Death informed them. He is emotionally drained from the interrogation. Naruto and Sasuke growled. Interrogation? That ANBU is so dead. Is Harry okay? George asked as he entered the room, a frown on his face. He relived all his worst memories. He'll be fine, he's strong, but keep an eye on him anyway, Death informed him before disappearing. George's eyes filled with horror. Worst memories? Naruto and Sasuke stiffened as they registered what they just heard. They knew Harry's past, just like he knew theirs, so they knew how bad it was. Concern filling them, they crawled onto the couch and laid beside their father, George enlarging the couch to make it easier and less cramped. Grabbing their father's hands, they both whispered, "We love you, Otosan." Meanwhile, in the Akatsuki's hideout, Itachi was in his room, clutching his chest as he felt Harry's pain and emotional turmoil practically screaming through their bond. Something had happened, and it was bad enough that Itachi could feel it through the bond. Harry was in pain, which made Itachi on edge since he wasn't there to offer comfort, to help him. Putting on his cloak, Itachi left his room and made his way out of the hideout, relief filling him that most of the others were gone as well, which meant he wouldn't be stopped. Once outside, he headed in the direction of Konoha. He was going to destroy whomever had done this to his best friend. 5 hours passed before Harry awoke, feeling warm and content. Blinking his eyes opened, a soft smile lifted his lips when he saw his sons curled up in his sides. Just seeing the two washed away the pain and grief in his heart, making it feel light. Hugging them, he closed his eyes, planning on going back to sleep, but a voice made him open his eyes again. Harry? Yeah, Dre? He asked his green met ice blue. How are you feeling? Good. Seeing the doubt in the other's eyes, he gave a reassuring smile. Truly, Draco? Naru and Sasa make it better. Draco nodded in understanding, his gaze going to Scorpius. Yeah, I know what you mean. Where's George and Teddy? Exploring the village. Personally, I think George went to go prank the Hokage and Anbu. He's more than capable to, even if Teddy is with him, Draco told him. Harry snorted. I almost feel bad for them. I don't, Sasuke said as he lifted his head. They deserve it. Shush you, Harry told him, kissing the top of his head. Now let me up so I can make food. Sasuke grunted and released him, climbing off the couch. Sitting up, Harry untangled himself from Naruto and made his way to the kitchen. He glanced at Sasuke, who had followed him, to see the boy staring at him with determination and nervousness. What's wrong, Sasu? He asked, giving the 10-year-old his full attention. Can I help you make dinner? Harry's eyes widened in shock and a hint of wariness. The last time Sasuke had tried to cook, he had set the kitchen on fire. Only if listen and do as I say, alright? I'd rather not having to fix the kitchen again. An embarrassed flush crept over Sasuke's cheeks, though he nodded in agreement. As the young brunette watched his father gather the ingredients, he saw the hidden pain in the man's eyes. Sasuke was well aware that his father blamed himself for not only the deaths of his friends and family, but felt broken over the fact that he hadn't been able to save and protect them. He was good at hiding it, but even he slipped sometimes, revealing the broken warrior he was to Sasuke and Naruto. Every time that happened, the two boys would look at each other and silently vow to try and keep their father as happy as possible, to keep him safe. Moving forward, Sasuke wrapped his arms around his father's waist, bringing the man to a halt. I love you, Otosan, he whispered. I love you too, Sasu-chan. Hey, why are you crying? What's wrong? Concern laced Harry's tone as he wiped the tears from Sasuke's cheeks. I was worried when I saw you unconscious like that. I don't want to lose you too, Sasuke murmured, voice cracking slightly at the end. I'll never leave you, Sasuke. You or Naruto. Harry kissed the top of his head. Now why don't we go make dinner, Kay? And tomorrow, we'll all stay inside and relax. Be lazy for once. How does that sound? Sounds good, Otosan. Okay, now help me with this, Harry said as he turned back to the ingredients laid out on the counter. A smile lifted Sasuke's lips as he moved to his father's side, listening intently to the instruction given to him. Warmth spread through his chest as the feeling of family filled him. Later that night, when everyone was sleeping, Harry up to the roof and disillusioned himself, finally letting the tears fall. He curled into himself and cried for all his mistakes, those he had lost, the what-ifs. He had only been up there for a few minutes, though it felt like hours, when arms suddenly wrapped around him. He didn't have to lift his head to know it was Itachi, his magic and the bond between them giving the teen away. He lifted his head anyway and met Itachi's eyes, which held concern and anger, concern for him and anger for those behind his tears. Ida-chan, Harry whimpered before burying his head in Itachi's chest, arms going around his waist as he clung to the Uchiha tightly. Sure, I'm here, the shinobi murmured soothingly, rubbing circles into the other's back as he held him. It was only after Harry had calmed down that he asked what happened, the man practically on his lap by then. I was interrogated by the Hokage. He had a man enter my mind, Harry whispered, resting his head on Itachi's shoulder. He accidentally opened the book that held my worst memories. Itachi froze, blood going cold as horror filled him. Harry had lived through so much, and to have to relive it. He was going to kill the Hokage and Inoichi. Making good on their promise, Sasuke and Naruto pranked the silver-haired Anbu, as well as the rest of the Anbu. With some help from George, they found and snuck into Anbu headquarters and turned the entire place upside down, literally and figuratively. It wasn't easy, as someone was always around, but the three of them managed it. First, they turned all the furniture upside down, put scentless itching powder everywhere, switched the sugar for salt in the kitchen, waxed all the floors to make them as slippery as possible, hung buckets of paint above doorways. George charmed the paint so that when it landed on its victim, the person's hair and skin were dyed that color for a week, and finally, set loose a couple dozen animals in the building. From birds to frogs and even pigs. They did more, too many to keep track of, not only on the Anbu, but on the Hokage and interrogation division as well. Needless to say, NBU headquarters was utter chaos for the next week or so. The best part was that neither Sasuke, Naruto, nor George got caught, which made them smug for days. Itachi himself had even pulled a few pranks, though his were mostly on the Hokage and Inoichi themselves. Needless to say, the two had nightmares for weeks. While those four were pranking the ninja of Konoha, Draco and Harry were fixing up the Uchiha main house, as well as the rest of the compound. With the help of magic, it didn't take too long, the most work going into completely redecorating the place, though Sasuke had the final say as it was his family's home. It only took about 2 months before the place was ready to move into, which they did with relief. The apartment was cramped and small, so having a home where everyone had their own rooms was a nice change. Another change was that death visited more often, even during the daytime. Sasuke and Naruto obviously saw the entity and had questions, which led to Harry telling them that he was the master of death. Naruto thought it was cool and would strike up conversations with death, both shocking and amusing the ancient being, while Sasuke regarded it with caution and a dash of wariness, though that disappeared as he quickly realized that death loved Harry in its own weird way. Both boys didn't know what to make of Harry and Death's relationship though, especially when they saw their Otosan curled up on the entity's lap or wrapped up in its arms. Days and months flew by and suddenly Sasuke and Naruto were 12 and graduating. Currently, the two brothers were sitting in Iruka's class as they waited for their assigned teams, hoping that they'd be on a team together. At the front of the classroom, Iruka began his speech. Beginning today, all of you are real ninja. The Chunin began. But you are still merely rookie genin. The hard part has just started. Now you will soon be assigned duties by the village. So, today we will be creating 3-man teams and each team will have a Jounin sensei. You will follow that sensei's instructions as you complete the assigned duties. Sasuke, then anyone besides Sakura, Naruto thought to himself as his favorite sensei began to read the teams. Anyone but a fangirl, Sasuke chanted in his head, shooting Sakura and Ino wary glances. Next, Team 7, Haruno Sakura, Uzumaki Naruto, and Uchiha Sasuke. All three of the mentioned genin froze, torn between excitement and horror. Naruto and Sasuke shared a look of dread and disdain, while Sakura shot Ino a smug look for being on the same team as Sasuke. Team 8 is Hyuga Hinata, Inuzuka Kiba, and Aburame Shino. Iruka continued. And Team 10 is Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru, and Akimichi Chuji. I'm going to introduce the Jounin senseis in the afternoon. Meeting adjourned until then. Not wasting any time, Naruto and Sasuke quickly left the room and made their way home, barely escaping Sakura as the pink-haired girl tried to follow them. Running home, the two let out sighs as they entered the house, the smell of food greeting them. Naru and I. Sasa and I. Teddy's voice suddenly reached their ears before a small body tackled them. Naruto smiled and fondly ruffled Teddy's hair. Hey, Ted-chan. Where's Otosan? The 7 almost 8-year-old pointed at the kitchen. He's in the kitchen with Dre and Scorp-chan. Said Otosan suddenly poked his head out of the doorway, grinning at the sight of his sons. Hey boys. I just finished lunch, so I hope you're hungry. Sasuke nodded, a flush covering his cheeks when his stomach let out a loud growl. He glared at Naruto when the blonde snickered at him in amusement before grabbing Teddy's hand and heading into the kitchen, the currently blue-haired boy following closely behind him. Entering the kitchen, Sasuke couldn't stop the fond smile from forming on his lips when Scorpius grinned happily upon seeing him. Sasuke! The 5-year-old exclaimed cheerfully, holding his arms out for a hug. Releasing Teddy's hand, Sasuke walked over to Scorpius and lifted the blonde into his arms, nodding a greeting to Draco, who was pouring himself a glass of milk. Hey, Scorp-chan. He murmured to the toddler, hugging him to his chest. Scorpius cuddled into him, a content look on his face. Can we play? Sorry, Scorp-chan, but it's lunchtime and Naruto and I have to go back to the academy after. Sasuke told the boy, who pouted sulkingly. Later? The Uchiha nodded. Later. Okay. Teddy turned to his brother. Can I play too? Of course you can, Ted-chan. Naruto spoke up as he took a seat at the table. We can all play, even Otosan. Harry blinked. Sure, but I actually wanted to ask if you two wanted to invite your teammate and sensei over for dinner tomorrow, so we can all get to know each other. Sasuke and Naruto immediately paled and frantically shook their heads, horrified looks on their faces. Harry arched an eyebrow at them. Oh, come on. They can't be that bad, can they? I mean, it's not Haruno, is it? The flinch both boys gave him was answer enough. Draco winced. You poor boys. He told them, giving them a sympathetic look. Draco had met Haruno Sakura once himself while in the company of both Sasuke and Naruto. After seeing the way she was obsessed with Sasuke and the hate she clearly viewed Naruto with, not to mention the rants Harry would go on about the pink bitch, he had disliked her from the second he saw her. He knew Teddy and George disliked the girl as well, and having the girl over the house, even if she was Sasuke and Naruto's teammate, would only end in disaster. Harry sighed, his eyebrow twitching at the thought of Haruno. At least invite your sensei over. I'd like to meet them, he said as George entered the room and sat beside Draco. He paused. You know what? Invite Haruno too. I don't think she's had the pleasure of meeting me in person. He smirked deviously. Of course, Otosan. Sasuke told him, smirking as well as he sat at the table beside Naruto, Scorpius in his lap. Alright, now let's eat. He's late. Naruto grumbled in displeasure as he, Sasuke, and Sakura waited for Hatake Kakashi, their Jounin sensei. He paced restlessly, not the type to sit still for long, and it had already been almost 3 hours. Naruto! Sakura snapped. Sit still! Sasuke scowled at her, not liking her tone towards his brother. Naruto stuck his tongue out at her immaturely before going back to ignoring her. He sat beside Sasuke with a huff. Otosan is probably worried, he said to the brunette, who grunted in agreement. Sakura snorted and sneered at Naruto. What Otosan? You don't have parents. Naruto flinched slightly before glaring at the kunoichi. I do have an Otosan, Haruno. You've just never met him. She scoffed, still disbelieving. Just then, their Jounin sensei, a man with gravity-defying silver hair and a mask that covered most of his face, entered the room. Naruto and Sasuke removed their glares from Sakura, instead directing them towards the Jounin, whose sweat dropped at the hostile vibes coming from them. You're late. Naruto ground out. My first impression of you is you two are interesting, Kakashi nodded towards Sasuke and Naruto. While you're boring. He turned to Sakura, who deflated in dejection. Meet me on the roof, he said before disappearing in a swirl of leaves. Sasuke and Naruto immediately left the room and headed to the roof, not even waiting for their fellow teammate. Once they reached the roof, where Kakashi was already waiting for them, they sat on the ground and turned to their Jounin sensei. A moment later they were joined by Sakura, who gleefully took a seat beside Sasuke, much to his irritation. Once they were settled, Kakashi spoke. Let's see, why don't you introduce yourselves? Introduce ourselves? What should we say? Sakura asked. Kakashi shrugged. What you like, hate, your dreams and hobbies. Something like that. Why don't you introduce yourself first, sensei? Naruto asked. Kakashi pointed to himself. Me? I'm Hatake Kakashi. I have no intention of telling you my likes and dislikes. As for my dream, I have few hobbies, he stated with a bored and disinterested look about him. Sasuke and Naruto's sweat dropped while Sakura grumbled to herself. Now it's your turn. You first, Kakashi motioned towards Naruto. My name is Uzumaki Naruto and I like my Otosan and my family, training with my Otosan and Sasuke, and ramen. I dislike people who judge others for things they can't control or understand, the 3 minutes it takes for cup ramen to cook, and fangirls. My dream is to become Hokage, Dadabayo. And my hobbies are pranks and gardening, Naruto stated with a wide grin. Kakashi nodded and turned to Sakura. You next. She blushed. I'm Haruno Sakura. I like the person I like ice and my hobby as well. My dream is to she let out a squeal while continuously glancing at Sasuke, making said boy twitch as the irritation in him grew. Kakashi held back a sigh. And? What do you hate? Sakura scowled. Naruto. Sasuke shot her a dark glare and inched closer to Naruto protectively, who smiled softly at him. Last guy. Kakashi spoke up, holding back the distasteful look he wanted to give Sakura. He had grown rather fond of Naruto, not just because the blonde's father had been his sensei, but because he genuinely liked the boy. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. There aren't many things I hate here, he glanced at Sakura with obvious disdain. But I have many likes, including my family. My goal is to find a certain man, and have a discussion with him. Kakashi blinked in mild surprise, having expected the Uchiha to be vengeful towards Itachi. He silently wondered what Harry must have told the Uchiha to get rid of that thirst for revenge. Alright, you three have unique personalities. I like that. We're going to begin a mission starting tomorrow. Naruto perked up excitedly. What kind of mission is that, sensei? First we're going to do something that we four can do. What is it? Survival training. Survival training? Naruto repeated with a pout. But Otosan already taught us survival training, he grumbled, getting a nod of agreement from Sasuke. Why are we going to train when it's a mission? Sakura asked. We had plenty of training at the academy. This is no ordinary training. Then what kind of training is it? Naruto asked, getting steadily impatient. Kakashi began to chuckle, making the three genin scowl. What's so funny, sensei? Sakura asked. Well, if I say this, I'm sure you three are going to be surprised. Out of the 27 graduates, only 9 are going to become genins. The other 18 will be sent back to the academy. In other words, this is going to be a very hard test with a dropout rate of 66%. Kakashi revealed to them, grinning when their eyes widened in shock. See? I told you you'd be surprised. Then what was the final exam for? Naruto asked. That just picks out those who are qualified to become a genin. What? Anyway, I'm going to determine whether you pass or fail tomorrow at the training grounds. Bring your ninja equipment and meet at 5 a.m. Now then, meeting's over. Oh yeah, don't eat breakfast. You're going to throw up if you do. Naruto and Sasuke gave him horrified looks. And Miss Otosan's cooking? You're crazy. Kakashi blinked at them. Right. Anyway, the details can be read on this printout. Don't be late tomorrow. With that, he dismissed them before disappearing. Come on, Naruto, let's go home. Sasuke sighed, standing. Yeah. Wait. Sasuke-kun, do you want me to walk you home? Sakura asked, running up to him and latching onto his arm. Sasuke glared at her. Get off, Harino. I don't need you to walk me home like I'm some damsel in distress. That's right, Databeo. Besides, he has me, don't you, Sasuke? Sasuke elbowed Naruto in the side before the blonde could finish. Whatever. He said before heading out of the academy, Naruto by his side while Sakura trailed behind them. Sasa and I. Naru and I. Both boys looked up to see Teddy and Scorpius, the latter being held in George's arms. Sharing grins, Sasuke and Naruto approached them, Teddy immediately running toward them to glomp them. Naruto ruffled his hair while a small smile formed on Sasuke's face. They got impatient waiting for you. George spoke up, smiling at them as he walked up to them. Your father said you can go play in forest as long as you're home in time for dinner. Teddy grinned up at them, eyes pleading. Can we please, Aniki? He gave Naruto puppy dog eyes, knowing he'd be the easier target to convince. Of course, Ted-chan. The blonde grinned back at him. Teddy cheered while Sasuke took Scorpius from George. Then let's go. He grabbed Naruto's hand impatiently, dragging him in the direction of the forest. Shaking his head fondly, Sasuke said a quick goodbye to George before following them, ignoring Sakura, who was trying to get his attention. George glanced at the pink-haired girl with a barely suppressed sneer before heading back to the house, wondering if Draco would be up to some quality alone time in the bedroom. He was sure Harry wouldn't mind as long as they remembered to put up the silencing charm, which they had a habit of forgetting to do. Loud grumbling could be heard as Naruto paced back and forth, an irritated and unimpressed look on his face. Leaning on the tree to his left, Sasuke had a dark glare on his face while not far from him. Sakura had a dreamy look on her face as she stared at the Uchiha. It had been over 3 hours now and Kakashi-sensei still hadn't shown up for their survival training. Naruto was bored and agitated, and he wanted nothing more than to go back home and play with Teddy and Scorpius or train with his Otosan. He knew Sasuke felt the same, despite the brunette's emotionless expression. It was as Naruto and Sasuke were seconds from heading back home that Kakashi appeared. Naruto growled, eyes narrowing darkly on the silver-haired male. You're late. He hissed. Kakashi shrugged, an indifferent look on his face. I got lost on the road of life. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Can we just move one to the training? I don't want to be late for dinner. Kakashi nodded and led them to a training ground, pulling out an alarm clock. I've set this alarm to go off at noon, he said, setting the alarm clock on a tree stump. I have 2 small bells, the Jonin continued, showing them 2 silver bells. Your challenge is to steal these from me before the timer sounds. Anyone who fails doesn't get any lunch. Instead, you will be tied to that tree stump, so I can eat your lunch in front of you. So that's why you said not to eat breakfast, Sasuke murmured. Naruto smirked. Ha! Joke's on you, old man. Sasuke and I ate. No way were we missing out on Otosan's pancakes, Databeo. Kakashi ignored him, though he felt a bit offended at the old man comment. He was 26, damn it. Yes, his hair was silver, but he had been born with it that way. Right. Anyway, All you need is just one bell apiece. But since there aren't enough to go around, one of you is definitely headed for the stump, and whoever that is will be the first to fail. One of you is on your way back to school in disgrace. The Jonin told them. Sasuke and Naruto shared a look, both having already guessed the point of this training. Their Otosan had always stressed teamwork while training them, working them until they memorized the other's way of fighting and how to seamlessly go from fighting alone to suddenly pulling attacks in a pair, all the while trying to be as unpredictable as possible. Naruto and Sasuke had never beat their Otosan in a spar on their own, but they had come a lot closer, even had beat him a couple times, when they teamed up. You may, if you chose, use shuriken. Kakashi continued. Attack as though you mean to kill or you'll never stand a chance. But that's so dangerous. What if we seriously hurt you? Sakura yelled with concern, making Naruto and Sasuke roll their eyes. He's a Jonin, Haruno. Naruto deadpanned. Sakura scowled at him, letting out a huff. Now Kakashi spoke up, to get their attention. We'll start on my signal, go! An explosion sounded as smoke filled the field, completely covering the four. When the smoke cleared, Kakashi looked around. The basis of all shinobi arts is to become invisible, eradicate yourself, the Jonin said. All three of them are well hidden, he began before pausing when he saw Naruto not 10 feet from him. Blinking, he stared at the preteen curiously. Naruto smirked. It's time for the real match to begin, Databayo, he said before grabbing a kunai and running at the man, going for the kill. Suddenly his hand was grabbed while another hand firmly grabbed his head. Naruto blinked in shock, feeling the slight prick of the tip of the blade of his kunai, which was now aimed at the back of his neck courtesy of Kakashi. He's fast, the blonde thought to himself. Faster than I thought he'd be. Feeling the other man's grip slacken a bit, Naruto yanked himself away from the man and turned to him, tightening his grip on his kunai. Kakashi suddenly reached into his pouch and pulled out Ika Ika Paradise. Naruto's eyebrow twitched. Pervert, he grumbled. He had seen George giggling while reading that book, only to drag Draco into the bedroom minutes later. Naruto didn't have to guess to know what the two were doing, especially after Harry had yelled at the redhead for reading porn in front of Teddy and Scorpius. Grabbing 3 more kunai, he threw them at the Jonin, each with a different target, and watched as the man dodged them all with ease, never looking up from his book. Frowning, he dashed at the man and started using Taigetsu, though he made sure that he only used the academy style and not the style his Otosan had taught him. Not one hit landed on the Jonin, not even the few moves he used that were more advanced. Letting out a huff, Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke, reappearing next to Sasuke. He's fast, Sasuke commented. And he's not taking this seriously, at least not completely. To be honest, I wasn't fighting seriously either. Anyway, what do we do? Think you can distract him long enough for me to attack? Naruto nodded and silently created a couple Kage Bunshin before he leapt out of the bushes, lunging straight for Kakashi, who arched an eyebrow at him. Surprise flashed in the silver-haired man's eyes when he was suddenly tackled from behind, making him stagger a step forward. 3 more clones jumped on him, the original joining, so Kakashi had a harder time figuring out which was the real one. They made work of pinning Kakashi's arms to his sides, doing their best to immobilize him so he couldn't do ninjutsu or taijutsu. Sasuke crept up from behind them, his hand inching towards the bells as he crouched just out of Kakashi's line of vision. Just as he was about to grab them, Kakashi was suddenly replaced by a Naruto clone. Sasuke cursed. He used the substitution technique. He muttered, huffing in frustration. He's sneaky, Naruto grumbled, his clones popping out of existence as he dismissed them. HN. Naruto got a thoughtful look on his face. Maybe I could use the side Oto. No. Sasuke glared at Naruto with a hint of horror in his eyes. Kami, I don't want to have to explain Hataki-san's death to the Hokage, much less Otosan. The raven-haired preteen shuddered. Naruto pouted. Fine. Take away my fun, why do? A scream, sounding very much like Haruno, suddenly echoed through the air, making the 2 brothers wince and rub their ears. What do you think he did to her? Naruto asked. Genjutsu, most likely. Naruto sighed. I guess we should go help her, huh? Sasuke scowled. I don't want to. He hissed childishly. Let her make a fool of herself. Sasuke. No. Naruto stared at him, eyebrow raised. Sasuke's eye twitched. I don't like the way she treats you. Why the fuck should we help her? Because we need her to pass this test. You and I both know this is about teamwork, not the bells. Naruto said calmly, though he silently agreed with his brother. Haruno was a bitch and petty and he'd rather not help her either, but he knew they had to. Sasuke sighed. Fine. Let's go find her. They came across Kakashi before they found Haruno, much to Sasuke's relief. Immediately jumping into action, the two engaged the Jonin into a taijutsu match, Naruto making clones to aid them. Kakashi studied their moves intently. Interesting. I've never seen this style of taijutsu before, he commented. Sasuke snorted. Of course not. Otosen created it. The Jonin's eyes widened in interest. Really now? He murmured, imagining Harry practicing the taijutsu style. Shirtless and sweaty. Red spread across his cheeks when he felt something dribble down from his nose and he coughed, clearing his throat. Now was not the time to fantasize about hot dilfs. Naruto and Sasuke narrowed their eyes at their sensei, taking in the dazed and lecherous look in his eyes. He's thinking perverted thoughts about Otosen, isn't he? Sasuke growled, protective and possessiveness welling up in his chest. Naruto frowned. But how does he know Otosen? I don't know, but I'm gonna fry his ass. Sasuke hissed out, before doing all to familiar hand signs. Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu. Kakashi snapped to attention just as the giant fireball headed his way, making his eyes widen in disbelief. There was a loud explosion and Naruto winced from the brightness of the flames. Both boys waited for the flames to disperse and cursed when they saw that Kakashi had disappeared instead of turning into a pile of ash. He's gone, Naruto hissed. Where'd he go? He said as he glanced around. Sasuke and Naruto tensed as hands suddenly grabbed their legs and both looked down to see Kakashi's hands, one grasping Sasuke's calf and the other grasping Naruto's. Both boys let out loud yells as they were pulled down into the ground, only their heads above it. Cursing loudly, Naruto glared at Kakashi, who waved cheerfully before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Seconds later, Haruno stumbled across them, face twisting in horror when she saw their heads. Letting out a loud scream, she stumbled back. Sasuke's head. It's been severed, she yelled before promptly fainting. Sasuke eyed her unconscious body with disdain. Why the fuck is she so loud? He grumbled. Don't know, but if we pass this test, I say we try to find a new teammate. One that is preferably not a creepy stalker fangirl. Agreed. 15 minutes later. Naruto held his stomach as it grumbled, twin grumbles coming from Sasuke and Haruno. Despite the fact that he had eaten breakfast, he was hungry again. He couldn't wait to go home. Hopefully, Otosen would have food ready. Oh my! Listen to all the stomachs growl. Kakashi spoke up, once again looking bored and disinterested. By the way, you three, I have an announcement about the exercise. Cut the shit, old man. We know the real test was about teamwork. Sasuke sighed. Kakashi blinked, mildly offended. I'm not old. Naruto snorted. Your hair says otherwise, old man. Kakashi growled. I was born with this hair color. And I'm only 26. That's not old, he said defensively. Sure you were. Anyway, Kakashi glared at Naruto, returning to what he was going to say before the old man comment. If you knew it was about teamwork, why didn't you work with your teammates, Sasuke? Sasuke rolled his eyes. I worked with Naruto, remember? Or is your old age catching up with you? Are you experiencing memory loss, Kakashi-sensei? The raven-haired teen smirked at the Jonin, whose eye seemed to have developed a tic. And if you're wondering about why we didn't team up with Haruno, well, he sneered slightly. I refuse to work with someone who so obviously hates my brother. She probably didn't even consider working with him during this test. Kakashi sighed and turned to the Pinkette, who was tied to the tree stump. He has a point, Sakura. You ignored Naruto, who had been right in front of you, while you instead focused on Sasuke, even though you didn't know where he was. I will admit that you and Naruto make a good team, Sasuke, but you need to work with Sakura as well. The same goes for you, Naruto. Kakashi moved so he was standing in front of the memorial stone. Look at the marker, all the names carved into this stone. Heroes of our village ninja. But the ones listed here aren't just any heroes. They died in the line of duty, Kasahi said with a solemn look. This is a memorial. It includes the name of my best friend. Kakashi turned to them sharply. Pay attention. I'm giving you one last chance. One that will be far more difficult than our little game with the bells. If you're prepared to continue, you may eat one of the bento boxes. But no sharing with Sakura. She goes hungry. If either of you feeds her, you fail the test right here. My word is law. Do you understand? Kakashi asked, staring at them intensely. I'm not falling for that. Naruto said, picking up one of the bento boxes. Opening it, he immediately grabbed some of the rice with the chopsticks and held it out to Sakura, whose eyes widened, even more so when Sasuke followed the blonde's example. But. Just eat it, Harino. Sasuke ordered her. Kakashi arched an eyebrow, staring at Naruto in disbelief. You're going to disobey an order? Right in front of me? Naruto shrugged. Otosan said sometimes you have to disobey an order, especially if it means helping a comrade. You said to treat her as a teammate, but teammates wouldn't let each other starve, so he shrugged again. The clouds started to darken with lightning blasting through it as Kakashi narrowed his eyes at Naruto. You pass. He grinned at them, the sky going back to normal. We pass? Why? Sakura asked. A true shinobi seeks for the hidden meanings within hidden meanings. In a ninja's world, those who violate the rules and fail to follow orders are lower than garbage. However, those who do not care for and support their fellows are even lower than that. TCH. Can we go home now? Sasuke asked, standing, impatient to get back to his family. Not to mention her was hungry. Kakashi sighed. Yes, you may go home. Oh, Kakashi-sensei. Otosan invited you to dinner. You too, Sakura. Naruto spoke up, reluctantly cutting Sakura loose. So, be at the Uchiha compound at 5. He said, giving Kakashi a pointed look, before disappearing with Sasuke. For Sasuke and Naruto, 5 o'clock came too quickly. When there was a knock on the door, they pushed George towards it, both refusing to answer. The redhead glared at them half-heartedly before he went to open the door, smiling charmingly as he did so. Sakura blinked at him and smiled shly. Harino Sakura, yes? I'm George, Sasuke and Naruto's favorite uncle. Nice to meet you, sir. Come in, come in. Dinner will be ready soon. We're just waiting for your sensei now. She nodded and entered house, grinning widely when she spotted Sasuke. Sasuke-kun. Harino. Sasuke grumbled, turning and heading into the kitchen, intent on helping his father with dinner. Harry suddenly stuck his head out of the kitchen and looked at Naruto. Naruchan, can you set the table, please? Naruto beamed at him. Sure, Otosan, he said before running into the kitchen to grab the plates. Harry turned to Sakura, fighting the urge to cringe when he saw the starstruck look in her eyes. He smiled at her, cursing silently when he saw her eyes light up like they did when Sasuke was around. I'm Harry, Naruto and Sasuke's father. You must be Sakura. She bowed, nodding. And nice to meet you, Hari-san. She stuttered, cheeks going a light pink. Just then, there was another knock on the door, making Harry straighten. You can go find a seat at the table. Dinner will be ready in a minute or so, okay? He told the pink-haired preteen. She nodded and went in the direction Naruto and Sasuke had gone in while he headed for the door, opening it with a polite smile. His eyes widened when he saw the silver hair and an all-too-familiar smell reached his nose. Inu-san. He breathed. Kakashi blinked. How did you dash? Harry smirked. I'd never forget a scent as pleasant as yours, Kakashi-kun. He near-purred, leaning forward to sniff at the man. Kakashi flushed, eyes glazing over slightly as fantasies of his flashed through his mind. Shaking his head, he grinned at Harry. Hari-san, you have such a pleasing scent as well. And he did. Hari spent of rain and thunderstorms, with an undertone of something else he couldn't name, but found smelled good. More than good. The clearing of a throat made them jump and Harry whirled around to see Draco, who had an eyebrow arched at them. Well, if you two are down with the flirting, dinner is ready. Harry coughed. Right, yes. Dinner. I'll go help Sasuke. Draco, show Kakashi-kun to the dining room, please. He told the blonde before almost running to the kitchen, cheeks a light pink. The second he was gone, Draco glared at Kakashi. Hurt him, and I'll skin you before burning you alive. He warned, knowing who Kakashi was, his magic recognizing him as the silver-haired Umbu he had come across a few times, not to mention the hair was kind of a giveaway. I have no intention of ever harming him, Draco-san. Good. Now, the dining room is this way. Kakashi nodded and followed the blonde man, waving at his students when he saw them. Yo. Naruto blinked. You're actually on time, he said in awe. Sasuke scoffed. He just wanted to see Otosan. He mumbled under his breath. Kakashi, having heard, turned a light pink. So mean, Naruto. I can be on time. Naruto rolled his eyes. Whatever, old man. George snickered before trying to cover it with a cough when Kakashi glared at him. I'm not old. Sure. Naruto-chan, be nice to our guest. Harry scolded as he entered the dining room with the food. Yes, Otosan. Harry smiled at him, placing the food on the table. Tonight, it's miso soup with eggplant. There's some onigiri and yakisoba too, so don't be afraid to dig in. He told them, taking his seat at the head of the table, Kakashi on one side and Teddy on the other. Kakashi's eye widened the slightest bit, and he tried not to drool as he smelt the delicious aroma of his favorite food. He waited until he was sure no one was looking before taking a bite of his, barely holding back the moan that wanted to break through at the taste. He understood now why Naruto and Sasuke were always eager to get home for dinner. Placing a genjutsu over his face so no one would see it, he pulled his mask down and ate the soup, savoring each bite. He shamelessly went for seconds when he finished his first bowl, half-heartedly listening in on the conversations going on around him. Glancing around, he saw Sakura chatting away, his attention torn between Harry and Sasuke. He paused when he saw her make the same eyes at Harry that she did at Sasuke, something twisting in his chest, making him want to growl at her. He had already come to terms with the fact that he was attracted to the 22-year-old, so he wasn't surprised that he felt possessive of the brunette. Hopefully, he could get closer to the man now that he was no longer Ambu. What if Harry is related to Naruto? End here and thanks for watching my video till the end.